So I can't count how many times here on the channel that I have pointed out that MAGA can't lead. They're really good at complaining about problems, and they're really good at stirring up a bunch of fear and a bunch of paranoia, and they're really good at spreading a bunch of propaganda. But as far as governing, they suck at it. They truly do, and they always have. And I've always said that if they got back in power, they would self-destruct, and they haven't even really gotten there yet, and they're already self-destructing. If there's any silver lining to the cloud that we're under at the moment, it's that they're already coming unglued, and they really ain't even got the ball rolling. And that's because I really believe they're all so egotistical, and they're all so self-righteous that they really can't function amongst each other. I can't count the times when I've done videos here on the channel about the superintendent Ryan Walters out in Oklahoma. He's always wanting the Ten Commandments hung everywhere and Bibles posted all over the place. I've always said that if you gave the church complete and total power and control, they would fall apart within minutes, because the churches in my part of the world can't get along with one another. Here in East Tennessee, you'll have a church that'll sit on this corner. Drive down the road, and if you know the people in the town, you will know that the church down the road is actually an offshoot of this one back here, because they had a disagreement over something, and so a couple of members went down here and started a new one. And that's kind of what we're seeing with MAGA now. You've got Team Trump, they're the OG MAGA, you've got Team Elon, you've got people battling amongst themselves. And so I think we're going to see more and more things start to unravel for MAGA as we go forward. But there's one person that if it unravels on them, it couldn't happen to a nicer guy, and that's Mike Johnson. He has to be probably my least favorite speaker ever. I just find him to be, he's just the worst of politician to me. The guy is just so slimy, and he's just so spineless in the worst way. He has no shame whatsoever. The guy will just come out, and you know his answer is going to be, he's going to have that smirk on his face, and you know he's going to give that typical politician answer. You know he's going to go the long way around to talk about things, and he just truly disgusts me. He really does. But this actually puts a little bit of a smile on my face, because I want to bring this up here. Mike Johnson's speakership re-election is in doubt. This is by Aaron Parnas over at the Midas Touch Network. He cannot afford to lose any more Republican support during tomorrow's vote. 2025 is not starting off great for Speaker Mike Johnson. His chances at getting reelected as Speaker of the House are no longer as ironclad as they were just a few weeks ago before the budget debacle. The House of Representatives is now expected to swear in new members tomorrow, January 3rd. After swearing in, the members will vote on who will become the next Speaker of the House. Right now, there are only two candidates, Speaker Mike Johnson and Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. Now, despite Johnson being the only candidate on the Republican side, his re-election remains in doubt. Following the disastrous budget negotiations just a few weeks ago, far-right Republicans have begun to turn on Johnson, and given Johnson's slim majority in the incoming House, he can only afford to lose one Republican tomorrow night, and he's already lost one, Thomas Massie out of Kentucky. As a result, Johnson cannot lose any more Republican votes, but multiple other Republicans are already questioning whether Johnson is the right person to lead the caucus. During budget negotiations, Marjorie Taylor Greene openly questioned whether Elon Musk should be appointed instead. Meanwhile, Victoria Sparks from Indiana has not committed to voting for Johnson, and neither has Andy Biggs from Arizona. So if Johnson loses either or both of these members, then he cannot win the speakership. January 3rd is shaping up to be a marathon vote for House members, reminiscent of another recent speakership vote just 2 years ago. So, yeah, folks, it's not looking too great at the moment for Mike Johnson. And again, I really can't feel any sympathy for the dude. It's really hard for me to feel any sympathy for anyone in MAGA. It really is. And I've always tried in my lifetime to be a sympathetic person. I've always tried to have compassion for people. And I feel like that the older I get, I feel like that the older I get, I'm not as compassionate towards some people, because I just get so tired of their bullshit. I was told back when I was younger, people used to say to me, "Oh, as you get older, Brando, you'll become more conservative." And I've had people say, "Yeah, if you ever fall into money, Brando, you'll definitely become a Republican then, because you won't want to get taxed, the way that the Democrats will tax you and all this crap." And the truth of the matter is, I'm doing better these days, and it's actually made me more progressive. And the older I get, the more progressive I become. But at the same time, it's just harder for me to find compassion for stupidity. I can find compassion for people who deserve it. I can find compassion for someone who didn't bring something on themselves. But in Mike Johnson's case, I can't feel any for that guy because everything he's brought on himself. And the division that's in MAGA is not shocking at all to me because they're divisive by nature. Their whole platform, really, if you think about it, is built on division. They unify around the idea of dividing everybody up, which is kind of weird. But when you have people that egotistical, and now you have Trump with his cabinet of billionaires, those egos are going to clash. All we can do now is just sit back and watch MAGA self-destruct. And again, it couldn't happen to a nicer bunch of people. And I don't feel compassion for that. And I'm not trying to be sarcastic, or, but maybe I am. Sometimes you have to laugh to keep from crying. But you know, if I turn on the news and I hear a story about someone struggling with a rare form of cancer that they didn't bring on themselves, you know, and you're like, dang, that's a really bad hand that person got dealt, then I can feel compassion for that person. And not only that, but I want that person to have all the health care they can get to get better and get well, and I wish them well. But if I turn on the news and I see somebody went to the zoo and jumped in with a tiger and got his arm ripped off, you jumped in with a tiger, dude. I don't really feel a whole lot of compassion. Used to, years ago, I might see a guy with his head stuck in an alligator's mouth and be like, dang, that's really bad. But if you went there and jumped in with the alligators and got bit, I just can't find myself being sympathetic toward those people. Those people, the older I get, the more tired of them I become. But to all the people who said that I would become, a greedy conservative, the older I got, that's not the case at all for me. I can speak for myself and say that that's not happened to me. If anything, I want to see other people have a chance to make it. I want to see other people get lifted up. I want to see other people not have to struggle as hard as they once were. And the older I get, the more progressive I come, because I want to see people have a hand to play. For years, our side gets accused of giving handouts, and I've always said that's not what we're asking for. We're not asking for the government to support people or for people to just live solely off the government and be dependent on it. That's not what we're talking about at all. We're talking about people having a hand to play in this world. And sometimes people gets a really shitty hand dealt to them, and when they do, they need help. And we shouldn't have a problem with helping our fellow Americans out. It doesn't bother me. I have never one time looked at my checks and where I was taxed. I've never blamed it on other people. I've never sat and worried where that went. I've never sat and cared. I've just been grateful for what I've had in this world, and hope that everybody out there made it. And I've had family in my lifetime that's been on government assistance. There's been times when I was growing up that my dad worked 2 jobs and we still had to have help. And I don't look down my nose at people like that. I never have. It's the least of my concerns or worries. It's something that never goes through my mind. I never think, if I see a person in front of me using a food stamp card, it never runs through my mind because I've used them myself in the past. I was raised on them when I was a kid. I remember back in the day when we didn't have the EBT cards, my mom had what looked like Monopoly money, and she'd sit there and count that stuff out. And I remember being demonized for that back then. I remember how it felt to be looked down on. It really annoys me at those people that looks down on people like that, and I got nothing for people like that. I don't even want to be around them or associated with them. If they're okay with Elon Musk getting a break in this world, and they think it's fair that he gets a break, but they're mad over somebody getting a Snicker bar and a Mountain Dew, I got no time for people like that. I really don't. But all we could do now is just sit back and watch MAGA come unglued even further. I would love to see Mike Johnson kick rocks. I really would. I don't care for the guy, and I know whoever the Republicans come up with ain't going to be no better. And if they think Elon Musk is a good idea, that's a terrible idea. But I would love to see Hakeem Jeffries at least be in there. At least we might have one voice of reason somewhere. That would be nice. But just sit back now, folks, and just get your popcorn ready, because we're going to need it the next 4 years. To sit back and watch them come unraveled. But I thank you guys so much for supporting me here on the channel. We've made it over 500,000 subscribers. I truly appreciate you guys for that. If you've not already and you like the kind of content I do, you like the way, my take on things, it don't cost anything to hit that subscribe button. So go ahead and hit it. That way you'll know whenever I put out new videos. And also be sure to check us out over on Blue Sky. We're over there. That's Tennessee Brando on Facebook and Instagram. Facebook, spell Tennessee Brando all the way out. And then Instagram is TN_Brando. I don't post as much on TikTok these days, but I do have an account. I post once in a blue moon over there. Just had so much trouble with that platform that I've kind of lost all hope in it. But anyway, I've also be sure to check out the Patreon. I've been putting a lot of more non-political content over there. I've interviewed several of my musician buddies, and I got some more lined up to talk to. We talk about music and talk about a little bit of everything. We just have some really good conversations. And so if you haven't checked that out, be sure to do so. But I appreciate you guys for all of your support, and you have a great rest of your day.